Setting up the meeting. Checking it over here. And it looks like we are live. Welcome everybody to our Mighty Mystery interview. I'm your host, Sara DiVello, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today with Leah Konen, author of All the Broken People. Leah, welcome to Mighty Mysteries. Tell us about your book.
So All the Broken People follows Lucy, who is kind of escaping Brooklyn into upstate New York. She's leaving a toxic, abusive relationship, and she's trying to find herself a new start. But she doesn't know anyone. So she kind of quickly develops this very close friendship with the kind of alluring, enigmatic couple next door, Vera and John. And they become fast friends and start spending all their time together. And she feels like she's kind of got a family and community with them before they drop this bombshell that they have their own secrets in their past and they need to get out of town. And the way they're going to do that is by faking John's death. And they want her to help them. So she kind of quickly gets like out of the frying pan into the fire of this kind of bonkers, like noir inspired plot that she enters into with them, but then things quickly go awry as they try to pull it off.
Oh my gosh. Well, Leah, I know I am already completely sucked in just by that description, and I am not the only one. I have to share just a few of your absolutely rave reviews. Booklist says it is a steady narrative which draws the readers into Lucy's anxiety, and what might seem an implausible story is made believable by intricate plotting, culminating in a didn't see it coming conclusion. Perfect for millennial fans of domestic thrillers. Publishers Weekly raves Konen should win a new set of fans with this domestic thriller. And Kirkus says Konen proves herself a master of weaving webs that slowly contract, strangling characters into threads. A swift, compelling thriller with unexpected swoops and swerves. Holy crap, that's amazing. A review that would make any mystery author's heart aflutter. How did you celebrate getting that review?
I mean, it was so exciting. You know, I mean, if you're a writer, you know, Kirkus can be a little hit or miss. So, you know, I think that was also the first one that came in for my adult book. Everything else had been YA before. So there's always this fear in the back of my head that, you know, not that adult is harder or more serious or anything than YA, but just that it is a different voice. So that, you know, reviewers are going to say, oh, this sounds too much like her teen fiction or something like that. And so, you know, I think Kirkus even specifically said that it was a departure from YA and that it was working. So that was just such a thrill. It felt really validating. It was kind of, you know, I took this big leap to switch gears and to kind of change the basically path of my career and my publishing work. And to just then get that first review to come in that glowing, you know, it was amazing. It made me feel like I had really done the right thing. And I, you know, I'm just so happy to be writing thrillers, and I hope to just keep writing them.
Well, Leah, clearly you are doing it and doing it well, because as you said, so for those in the audience who aren't familiar, Kirkus is an industry review organization. And I think the New York Times called them reliably curmudgeonly and often cranky. That's the New York Times, not me. And so I think that there's sort of this authorly terror of Kirkus, a healthy respect, a deep respect for them. They are sort of this industry leading voice of reviews. So to earn a review like that from Kirkus, my God, woman, you were meant to be a thriller writer. And I have to share just a few other rave reviews as well. Carolyn Kepnes says, remarkably insidious, puts a sick smile on your face. Sarah Pekkanen says, it's rare that a novel keeps me guessing until the very last page. If you crave an escape from the real world, this is the book for you. My God, I mean, these are just, Kimberly Bell, who actually I interviewed a couple weeks ago, said a sly, up all night thriller that ends with a surprising bang. I mean, these are just reviews that every author dreams of. This is amazing. So for the authors and writers in the audience, people are saying, hi Gail, hi Rena, thank you for joining us. They're saying hi. Let us know if you have any questions for Leah. This is your time to have access to this author. Tell us what is your secret to writing a book that earns that kind of praise, that keeps the pages turning, that keeps people up at night, that keeps us on the edges of our seat, biting our nails, too scared to go to sleep? Tell us.
So, I mean, what is the secret? Well, a lot of rewriting on my part. I rewrote this book way too many times. I did a lot of plot work actually on it. And this is actually a secret, not a secret, but a good tip is that I use screenwriting books when I am figuring out my plot.
Ooh.
So what I like about Save the Cat is one, it's kind of the standard there. And then I also do Anatomy of Story, which is a great book for figuring out kind of high concept and characters. And what I like about that is that screenwriting is so nuts and bolts. Like it's a format. It's like, this is what happens, and then this happens, and this happens. So it doesn't translate like apples to apples for a novel, but it gives you enough of a framework that you can kind of get in there and play around. And as you know, Sarah, since you are writing a mystery right now, you need a framework. You need to kind of have some bones that you can put meat on. Otherwise, you will just find yourself more confused than your main character. The biggest mystery in the book will be what actually happens in your own book, which I'm sure, we've all been there. So I think figuring out like a really great structure is amazing. And that's when I use those screenwriting books. But because it's a mystery and because there should always be twists and turns, I think you have to be a little bit nimble and flexible and willing to change if you feel that this story is carrying you in kind of a different place.
Totally. Oh, that's such good advice. And how did you actually use these books? When you say you used them, did you just read them and sort of take in the knowledge, or were you actually?
I mean, there are like exercises, and there were note cards and a bulletin board. And I actually went to Office Depot and got these like huge, like if you worked in like corporate America in the 90s and you were at these meetings with these like long like sheets of paper and like, magic markers, like I use those to do the exercises in the different books and to just kind of figure out, play around with plot. And I literally just pasted everything up around me in my office. So while I was writing, I was just kind of like staring at like, okay, this is going to happen next, and this is going to happen next. And this character is connected to this character, and this suspect is connected to this suspect. And they were here, there. I would joke that it was like an FBI profiler kind of like what you always see on TV. So, I mean, I really just got like down and dirty and writing everything out, taping it up on the wall, all of that. That's for me, that's what I had to do. I can write in the, in the screen, in the Word document, but I need to be able to feel like I can touch the different things that are happening in the book and kind of see it around me.
Yeah, I'm actually the same way. And I use those giant Post-it notes from Corporate America. Yeah. We're getting thumbs up from the audience. Thanks everybody for the thumbs up. They like this, as do we. I use them as well. And a friend came over and she said, oh, can I see your office? And I brought her in and she said, okay, it's getting a little beautiful mind in here because every single service is covered in an FBI profiler or beautiful mind sort of musings and connections and whatever. But that's how my brain processes information. Not surprised we're the same. Leah and I also share a fondness for old movies. And one of our favorites is The Philadelphia Story.
I did not know about the musical until you told me. And I'm just like, I feel like my mind is blown.
Yes, I love the musical too. High Society with Grace Kelly, Frank Sinatra. But I still love the first one the best.
I mean, it's hard to find a better movie than Philadelphia Story. Period.
Exactly. And as a Philadelphia-based girl, I appreciate that on a deep level. Leah, how long did it take you to write this book?
So it was definitely, I'd say 2 to 3 years. It was probably a solid year doing the first draft, and then, like I said, I rewrote, a few times, and then once you get into the nitty gritty with the publisher, you're going to have more revisions and edits and all of that. The ending of the process when I was doing copy edits and proofreading, because of the way the timelines worked, I was actually doing it just a few weeks after I had my daughter. So I was literally like holding her with this arm and like nursing her around the clock, because that's how it is in the beginning, and then like had my red pen in this hand and was like marking up the pages.
Oh my God, that sounds so hard.
It was a lot. It was just like, it's just how it worked out. I did my best to get all the work done before that happened, but then things happen with the publishing schedule where stuff just comes your way, and so I became very good at multitasking while nursing.
Wow. Yeah, that is impressive. Tell us about the title. Was it did it arrive as a divine strike of inspiration? Was it number 101? Are there any on the cutting room floor that you kind of miss?
So no, it was actually Broken People for the whole time that I had the book in my head. It was always that. And I loved it. And we did do a huge explore with like 2 different publishers, actually, trying to see if there was a better option, just because, so many of these titles are more specific about like, woman on this or, what have you. So we kind of explored all those different things and then ended up just coming back to Broken People. It became All the Broken People, but it just really summed up what the book was about, because it's really not, it is following Lucy's story, but it's also all these women that she becomes friends with in this town. There's a teenager that she connects with, there's a woman in her 40s, there's her next door neighbor who's in her 60s. So it's all of these people are connected together, and they all have these things in their past that are affecting them and how they make choices now. And so it just kind of stuck.
I love it. And what about the cover? Was this the first cover that they proposed? Did you have to go through rounds of revisions? Tell us about this cover.
So that was the second cover. The first cover was lovely. It was this like idyllic rural setting. It looked like the back of my property upstate. So it felt like so spot on. And there was like 2 glasses of wine on a table. And I really loved it, but it wasn't striking enough. It didn't kind of stand out enough. And so then when we saw that one, it just to me was so perfect, because it's about this woman who is isolated and she's in this remote location and she doesn't know who she can trust. And so we see this, shadowed silhouette looking out a window at this rural kind of desolate setting. And it just was perfect. And I also love this like lime green that they chose. I think it's amazing. So I'm so happy with the cover.
Yay, it is all of those things that you described. One thing that I especially love about it is that it features a little dog. And as the dog mom, the proud dog mom of a tiny rescue pup, I love that she has not just a dog, but a little dog. And I know you have a dog as well. So tell us, is this your dog thinly disguised, or is this an imaginary dog?
So it's not my dog thinly disguised, but I don't think I can write about dogs that aren't little and fluffy, because that's just like what a dog is to me. Like, I grew up with a Shih Tzu. I now have a very scruffy little Parson Russell Terrier mix. So he actually looks a lot like your dog. I've seen the photos. So I am a fellow scruffy rescue dog mom.
Yeah.
So this dog is not Farley, but just I love to write like I don't know. I just am a huge fan of little dogs. So Dusty is a cute little scruffy boy, and well, I would say more fluffy actually, fluffy than scruffy. And I will make a promise to readers for the entire length of my career, I will never hurt a dog in a book. So many people have asked me that, and I hate that horror movie cliche. I'm never doing it. The dog will always be okay. If you see a dog in my book, the dog's going to be okay. You do not have to worry.
Okay, you are reading my mind, because that was literally my next question. So Leah's publisher sent me an advanced copy of this, and I am so sucked in. I absolutely love it. But then I got a really bad feeling like something bad was going to happen to this dog. And I actually had to pause, because I was like, I'm not in the emotional place where I could handle that. So I have paused. So thank you so much. Because I was going to ask you offline, but I'm glad you're sharing it with all our readers, because I know if I have that question, other people have that question. I need to know the dog is safe.
The dog is okay. And I actually had a friend one of my beta readers who will remain nameless because I don't want to out her here. But I was trying to like think of like how to up the stakes at some part of the book. And she's like, maybe something needs to happen to the dog. And I was like, I don't care. You need to never say that again. Take a few steps back. We are not doing that. That's not happening. So yeah, I can't read about it. I don't want to read about it. I will never write about it. So do not worry.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that. I feel so relieved because because the dog is such an integral part of her story, as dogs are part of, as dog moms know and dog dads know. Dogs are so dear and so precious, and the way that he, Dusty interacts with her is so. I mean, it's so true. Even just the way he sort of takes care of her and stays with her, it is, I don't know, it's so endearing, and so I needed to know.
Well, yeah, and also I think for the book, one of the reasons why the dog is in the book, not just because I love dogs, is because he's this contrast to everything else that's going on. Like, she can't really trust anyone, and she can't really have these like lasting relationships with anyone. There's so many betrayals, there's so many secrets, and then Dusty is her constant, who is kind of the only one there. I mean, it's sad, but it's, it's true for her. He's the only one who's kind of there for her and she can trust. And I put her through a lot in that book. I'm not going to take away her companion in that way. I wanted to have that constant.
And it's true. I mean, that's how dogs are for us. They are constant. Their love is unconditional. It's so special. I always think dogs are better than us in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
So Leah, tell us about, have you ever gotten some writing advice where you realized, you know what, that is a load of garbage? or conversely, have you ever gotten some writing advice or learned the hard way yourself, something you'd like to share with us, something you'd like to pass on that has been a real key to your writing success?
Yes, I have an answer for both. So my first one is the very common show, don't tell. I hate that. And I wish less people would say it. Cause it's always, I remember being told it over and over in creative writing classes in college. And it's actually hard to kind of wrap your head around what that means as a new young writer. So what you end up doing is you end up withholding information from your reader because you want to be edgy or you want to, not be too obvious. And sometimes you actually end up withholding factual information or things that that are crucial to understanding the story. And you leave your reader guessing and confused. So I think that just gets repeated too much. I think there are some uses for it. Like, you shouldn't just write over and over again, she was sad. Like, there are better ways to communicate that. But apart from that, I think a lot of times you do want to tell your reader what's going on, and you want to give them a very clear understanding of the basics of your story so that then they can have the space to pick up on the emotional nuance and the suspense and all of those other things. So that's the advice that I don't like. The advice that I love, that I try to give everyone that is not applicable during coronavirus, is to walk around or take public transportation or do whatever you do without headphones. Basically just listen to other people's conversations, whether you're in a coffee shop, whether you are in a city where you're taking a train or just on a walk. I think the best dialogue learning I've ever done is just hearing the different ways different people talk. And a lot of times I think when we just pop our headphones on, we're turning off all this amazing inspiration that we could get in our day-to-day lives. So that's my little tip.
Oh, I love both of those. And I think the show don't tell is confusing because the thing is we're on a page, not a stage. So you actually do have to tell, even when you're showing, you still have to tell because there's not a screen. So I think that's so important because I think people always say that. We have a question from the audience. Rena would like to know, what is one thing you would want readers to take from your book? Good question.
So, I mean, I definitely think that once the book is written, it belongs to the readers, not the writer. So I love kind of whatever readers take from the book. But that said, I think this book is a lot about friendship and the connections between different women. And so I would just love if readers could kind of, you know, see these relationships and see how they compared to their own friendships, especially female friendships that they have in their lives,
Mm.
and to kind of their history of friendships. Like, I think a lot of us have been through one of those friend breakups that feels as bad as a romantic breakup, or maybe is even worse. And so I think if people find connection with the elements of that in the book, kind of falling outs and lost friendship is a big theme in the book. And I think if people can find connection or solace in that, I think that would be really cool. It was one of the themes I really, really wanted to explore.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for the good question, Rena. And I love that answer, Leah, because female friendships are fascinating and wonderful and enriching. And I mean, the female friends that I have are so dear to me. They're like sisters, and I benefit so deeply and so richly from the many aspects of our friendships. And it's so good to hear a book celebrating that and exploring that. I don't think that happens enough. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, there's definitely more and more books, I think, that are exploring that. I recently wrote an article for Electric Lit about some of the best, it was actually about friendships gone wrong and thrillers.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's such just great territory to explore. And I think more and more writers are going in that direction. But, I think like a lot of us, we might have actually a more stable romantic relationship and find these kind of instabilities and things happening in our friendships. And a lot of times when you go and read not just domestic suspense, but any fiction, you see only kind of like marital problems and all of that. But there's also a lot to explore with friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Rena is saying, love the women connections and friendship books. Thank you for answering my questions. Oh my gosh, Rena, of course, this is your
Thank you for
time.
asking the question.
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. This is your time. So if anyone has any more questions for Leah, please keep them coming. This is your chance to have access to this author one-on-one and really get in there. And while you're thinking of more questions, I'll keep asking as well. So Leah, when you were growing up, did you see yourself becoming a writer, or did you think you were going to be something else?
No, I definitely didn't see, well, okay, yes and no. So I was always writing from a very young age. I was always writing different stories on, my old like dinosaur of a computer. So it was always a big part of my life. But then I think when I got older, like in my teens and in college, I just didn't really see it as something that just an average person could do. Like novelists were just this kind of famous, like successful other thing that I could never even imagine being part of.
That's so
And
true.
I was also worried, I had a lot of student loans. I was kind of trying to figure out how to make my way. So I was worried about just kind of jumping into something that's so insecure. So I studied journalism instead, which is also insecure in its own way. I didn't know quite at the time how much. But I wanted to do something more practical. And then when I got to New York, amazing things started to happen. I started to meet all these novelists, and I realized that they're just normal people like me who just decided to sit down and actually write the book one day. And it gave me hope that I could do that, and gave me kind of determination. So I definitely didn't always see myself in that, but I think it was something I was always called to. I just had to find really the confidence and kind of the place in my life where I had the stability to be able to take the time to do it and to kind of go after it.
Exactly. And I totally relate to that. And I think so many people do. Same here. I was the first one in my family to go to college. I came out with a ton of student loan debt. And it never occurred to me that I could be one of those people that wrote books, because it seemed like that only happened to other people, polished people or rich people or famous people or somebody who wasn't me. And I think there's sort of this mystique where it doesn't feel reachable for the rest of us. And it's so great to hear that you felt like that and then you overcame that.
And I think the great and the not so great thing about fiction is that, and really all writing, is that there's really no way to train for it. Like there's no accreditation where it's like, you must go to this school and get this degree and spend this money to become a novelist. Like there are programs, but there's no guarantees with them. And, they have their own issues. So on the one hand, it's so cool because truly anyone can do it. On the other hand, it's difficult because no one knows how to teach it, and no one knows like the magic secret success, and there's no X set of steps you can take and become successful, you know? So it's really this kind of just magical thing that none of us really understand. And we all feel very lucky to be able to do it, which is why anytime someone says, oh, I've always wanted to write a book, but I couldn't, or I didn't study writing or English or, you know, whatever, I always tell them just to do it, because so many of our favorite novelists, that's exactly the position they were in. They never, you know, took a class on writing. They never did any of these things. They just had a story that really, you know, called to them, and they put it out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And and I think you see that even with the famous people, going back to
Totally.
time in memoriam. So what does your writing ritual look like? Do you write every day? Do you write sporadically, morning, noon, late night? What's it like for you?
So right now with publishing, like getting a book out into the world, everything is just put on hold. Even though I am on deadline, I'm just being very bad about it. But normally I try to write every weekday. And I try to write in the mornings and get my word count done kind of before lunch or just after.
Uh-huh.
That was also before I had a baby though. So now it's a little mixed up. It really just depends on where she's at, what my husband has going on, how she's napping that day, how she slept the night before. But I find now, especially with the baby, it really helps that I have my book totally outlined. I have every kind of scene set. And so I can just have a half hour and I can jump right in and say, okay, I know what needs to happen in this part of the book and I'm going to write it. If I only have a half hour or only have an hour and I'm trying to figure out actually what happens in the book, that is impossible. So I try to just get as organized as I can so I can jump in and jump out more easily. So that's kind of my process.
So you're a plotter, you're an outliner.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Like for sure. I don't know how. I major respect to people who are able to do it without it, but even when my outline changes, and it does, I still always have to have one. So if I'm rewriting, I re-outline before I ever go back in, because I just want to know everything that's happening chapter by chapter. And it can change by the end of the book. Sometimes I'll get to a point and realize that it needs to go in a different direction, but I'd like to have at least a starting point.
That makes so much sense. Well, I feel like we could chat forever, but it is time for us to hit the lightning round. Leah, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Would you rather go camping with Bram Stoker or Anne Rice?
Anne Rice.
Would you rather take a road trip with Arthur Conan Doyle or Edgar Allan Poe?
Poe.
What's one book that has changed your life?
I hate to say it because everyone does, but Pride and Prejudice just rocked my world.
I love it. Normally I'd ask what's your favorite movie, but you already shared that, The Philadelphia Story, which we shared together. Yay! What's one thing you want people to know about you?
I used to be very into choreographing tap dance and performing tap, and I really miss it. I wish there was a way in my life to bring tap back.
Oh my gosh, this is the first time I've gotten that answer. I was also a tap dancer.
Really? Oh my God. We have like way too many connections here.
I still keep my high heel tap shoes in my closet upstairs, but I don't have a floor.
I have them in a closet somewhere, but when I was living in Brooklyn, like in an apartment, you cannot be practicing tap. Your neighbors will actually it will not be good.
They will come for you, Leah. They will come for you with pitchforks. As you're shuffling off to Buffalo, they'll shuffle you right off there. What's one word that gives you the heebie-jeebies that you will never use in a book?
Oh man. Oh gosh, I don't even know. I mean, I feel like no words are off limits. I feel like I would just put it all in there. I'm sure there's one. I can't think of it right now.
Amen. I like it. I don't think I have any word aversions. A lot of people say moist. Moist doesn't bother me. I like moist.
Moist is the one that popped into my head. It must just be because like the cultural component, like it's been said so many times. But that was the one that came into my head. But I'm sure I put it in a book.
What would you rather be stuck in Area 54 with H.P. Lovecraft or Stephen King?
Stephen King.
What is one thing you wish that I had asked you?
You've done such a great job.
Oh, hey.
I just like nothing. You let me talk about my dog for 10 minutes. I mean, I have literally no criticisms.
I had to cut myself off. I could have kept talking about the dog.
I know the dogs threatened to take over the live stream, which, you know, for all the people who aren't obsessed with their dogs out there, I guess we had to be respectful to them.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, Leah Konen, congratulations on your beautiful book, All the Broken People. Okay, perfect. I'm going to take a screenshot. Yay. Congratulations on this beautiful book. Congratulations on all of the praise. It is earned and deserved. And thank you so much for joining us here on A Mighty Mystery interview with me, Sara DiVello. And I cannot wait until we have you back again for your next one.
Thank you so much. And thank you for doing this and all the work of just, you know, putting out the word about all these authors. We appreciate it so much.
Oh my gosh, how lovely is she? Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Leah. That's really, really lovely and appreciative. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, we'll see you again. Thank you so much.